All right, let's jump right in. We're going to travel back in time today to crack the code on how love and marriage worked way back when in the Arab and North African world. It's this incredible mix of poetry, community, and, believe it or not, some seriously old school matchmaking.
So that leads us to the big question, right? How on earth did our ancestors actually choose a life partner? I mean, no dating apps, no social media. The answer is this really fascinating ancient code, and it was built on three main pillars. First up, ancient poetry. And this wasn't just, love poems. Poetry literally created the blueprint for the ideal partner. It built this powerful image in everyone's mind that was just understood. Then you've got these incredibly complex rituals. I'm talking every single step, from the very first question to the huge celebration at the end, was like a carefully choreographed dance. It involved the families, the elders, pretty much the whole community. And last but not least, and this one is my favorite, it was through the art of reading faces. Yeah, you heard that right. It was a way to get a read on someone's character before you even met them. So let's unpack how these three things all wove together to make a match happen. Okay, so first things first. Before anyone even started looking for a partner, there was already this powerful, pre-existing idea of what the perfect woman was. And this ideal was really shaped by a tug of war between romantic, poetic dreams and some very down-to-earth practical needs. And at the core of that poetic ideal is, and you might find this a little surprising, a symbol called the wild cow. Now, in pre-Islamic poetry, this was the ultimate compliment. It meant radiant beauty, grace, and this really deep, almost mystical connection to life and fertility. It was the full-on romantic vision. But of course, reality check, that dreamy, poetic ideal wasn't always what mattered most on the ground. When it came time to actually pick a spouse, practical concerns totally took over. And that's where things get really interesting. And this chart here just lays it all out perfectly. You see, on one side, you have the poetic wild cow, all about beauty and grace. But on the other, you have the social ideal, the daughter of origin. And that was about preserving the family line, her mother's good name, and making the tribe stronger. So yeah, beauty was great, but character and family roots, that was the real prize. There's actually an old saying from the Sa'ida region in Algeria that just hits the nail on the head. I chose the ancestors and you chose the skins. Wow. I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that, does it? It's all about putting substance, lineage, character, way, way above just looks. Okay, so you know what you're looking for, a daughter of origin. But how do you actually find her? And then how do you make it official? Well, this is where the real art of choosing kicks in. This is where something called physiognomy, or ilm al-farasa, plays a huge role. It's basically the traditional art of judging someone's character and personality just by looking at their face and features. And think about it. In a culture where you didn't really hang out before marriage, these visual clues were everything. It was like getting a sneak peek before the official intro. And this face-reading science got super specific. For example, tradition said that arched eyebrows meant someone was gentle and romantic. Straight eyebrows? Maybe a little stubborn. An oval face was seen as cheerful and kind, while a square face suggested someone who was strong and determined. It was basically a visual cheat sheet to who a person was on the inside. But all that face-reading stuff, that was really just the prelude, just the beginning. Once a family was singled out, based on their good name and history, a super formal, community-wide process got started. And the formal process itself was just a masterclass in social etiquette. In the Sa'ida region, for instance, a father would check with his son and the elders before anyone even went to ask. And you gotta hear this. The bride's family was actually expected to refuse the offer 2 or 3 times. It wasn't a real no. It was all part of the ritual, a sign of respect to show how much they valued their daughter. All right, so once everyone's on board and the match is made, it is time to celebrate. And we are not talking about a simple one-night party. No way. This was an all-out community blowout that could go on for days. And I'm not kidding when I say days. In a lot of places, the standard for a real wedding celebration was a full 7 days. The whole tribe, the entire village, just celebrating non-stop. And this is where you really see the amazing diversity of all these traditions. The main values were the same, sure, but every region had its own special thing. In Saida, they had the game, which was this playful staged theft of the bride's belongings. In Tindalf, the bride would playfully hide in a ritual called Al-Tarawa. I mean, how cool is that? Each one added its own unique local spice to the party. So here's the really important part. These week-long parties weren't just for fun. All the feasting, the poetry, the games, it all had a very serious purpose. It was about showing the whole world that this union was official. It was about making the community's bonds stronger and giving the new couple a huge public send-off of support. Which brings us all the way to today. After looking at all these ancient symbols and rituals, you have to wonder, right? What's left of all this? What parts have actually survived all this time?
Well, you might be surprised. A lot of it has. The idea that family approval is absolutely crucial, still a huge deal. Rituals like the henna ceremony, you see that everywhere. The bride's trousseau or jahaz is still a really important symbol. And of course, weddings are still the biggest family and community event you can have. Oh, and you still see incredible traditional clothes like the karaku and kaftan worn with so much pride.
So, okay, maybe the 7-day wedding marathons aren't as common anymore, but the spirit behind it all, that is absolutely still alive. Those core values, community, family, and the celebration of two people coming together, you can still feel that in weddings today. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. In the super fast-paced, often individual world we live in now, what can we maybe learn from these old community-first rituals? What can they teach us about commitment and about building real strong bonds with each other? It's definitely some food for thought. Thanks for coming on this little trip back in time with me.